Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and I'm joined this evening by Kevin McCluskey and Jerry Taylor to discuss Dundee 0, Celtic 3. Jerry, we spoke about that game at the beginning of the season in September at Parkhead, where we went in at nothing each and we came out 3-0 winners. It was a case of continually grinding them down until we got the breakthrough, and then they opened up a wee bit and we were able to put the game to bed. It was actually not a bad performance across both halves, Jerry, really. You know, the amount of chances we created. I would love to see us being more clinical. When you look at a game where, you know, we win over 20 corners in a match, we're going to win that game, you would think, comfortably. But I think Dundee stuck to their task and we were able to show a wee bit of quality. And there's a few dilemmas, a few selection dilemmas, I think, for the Rangers game. Fair play, Mikey Johnston.
Aye, I mean, we were saying it at half time. We knew the goals were coming. We were quite confident of that, and thank the Lord it didn't backfire and bite us in the backside. But from the first goal, an absolute worldie from the unlikeliest of scorers. So yeah, a scrappy goal, I would say. Well, would you say scrappy? I don't know. That's maybe a bit unfair.
Is that Bernardo's goal?
I wouldn't have thought Bernardo's would have been the goal scorer.
A bit scrappy.
But wee bit scrappy, but some good play as well. And Mikey Johnston, I'm just loving watching Twitter right now. Just loving it. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I did say that I didn't think he was up to it, but he's come on with no pressure. He's playing with no pressure there, a little pressure compared to other games. So he's taking his chance well, finally. But he's had many chances. I wouldn't say... Well, we can go into the debate about whether he starts in the next game. We'll go into that. But I'm really happy for the guy. You saw how much it meant to him. There was a lot of passion at the end there as well. So good, fair play to the boy, and well played. A professional performance all round against a well organised Dundee, especially their boy at left back that everyone's talking about just now. Yeah, I was actually watching the Dundee commentary because I was just because of the stream that I had.
Because you subscribe to Dundee TV, obviously. Yeah.
That's it, exactly. So I subscribe to them all, basically, every team's TV. But they're raving about this guy. They actually said, I don't know if anyone was listening, they said when it comes to choosing man of the match for Dundee, he's never usually far off. And we're sick of, people will be getting sick of hearing me praise him. So this guy must be something special. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him.
Yeah. I mean, the Dundee supporters who I know, because I do have pals who are supporters of other football teams, they're raving about him as well. And I think it's one of the things whereby, you know, we're scouting for defenders. We keep calling it an emergency signing to bring Phillips in from Liverpool. I think it was more of a panic buy than anything else. But we'll get onto that dilemma for the weekend as well. But yeah, I thought he was a great wee player. And we can do deals like that. We can get... loan deals cut short and all the rest of it if a club is willing to sell. He's 21. He's a Welsh underaged internationalist. He's had a few loan deals out now. I think Dundee are probably his third loan deal out of Liverpool. Was he going to make it at Liverpool? Would they be willing to sell him? Who knows? But I'll tell you what, you've set it up. You've set it up for a debate. Let's have that debate, Jerry Taylor. And that debate is all about Mikey Johnston. George Robertson brings up the first point on reflection, the most one-sided game I've seen since live. Free Mikey Johnston. LOL. Yes. Mikey Johnston, you know, he's one of these guys. We've spoken so much about him. Kevin's laughing because we have spoken about him. There's always been a debate about him. Every pre-season. A Celtic State of Mind now has been going for almost 7 years. Mikey Johnston's been a discussion point throughout that entire time period. I thought when he went out on loan last season, it was one of the ones, Kev, where, you know, he runs down his contract for another year, he finds a move, he moves on, and everybody wishes him well. Brendan Rodgers comes in, and he's back in the picture. He was one of the guys that never got a look in, actually, for a long time. Then it was at the Hibs game, he was thrown in for the first time in ages against Hibs. It was his first appearance in a Celtic jersey in something like, 15 months, 18 months. And then he gets 4 starts, back to back, loses his place again, comes in today. But Jerry has thrown it in to the mix here. We're looking ahead to the Rangers game. Maeda wasn't great today. Mikey comes on far more direct. I know he didn't replace Maeda, but he comes on far more direct. If you're picking it just on form today, and you're looking at Palmer, who I thought had a cracking game, very creative, created loads of chances. Our best player in the first half, I thought, ran out of puff a wee bit. And then you're looking at, right, Jan came on, didn't do a great deal. Maeda didn't have a great game. Mikey Johnson came on and scored 2. If you're doing it on form, Kev, I'm painting you into a corner here. Who do you pick against Rangers? And I know that the team selection might not be on form. It might be on, the personnel, the fixture itself, like we did in the Champions League where we were playing Bernardo rather than the other names that we mentioned at the beginning of the game. On form, who plays against Rangers, or does Brendan Rodgers throw that out the window and say it's not about form, it's about putting Maeda up against Tavernier? I mean, how does he play this?
Well, tough one, isn't
it? It's a tough one. It's a great
things. Even if you're picking this team on the front three positions on form, Mikey Johnson's up against Palmer for the jersey then, and not Maeda, because he's come on the left-hand side and replaced Palmer. I don't think Mikey Johnson's as effective on the right-hand side as he would be on the left. So even on form, it's such a difficult one for that position. But I don't think, and it sounds strange going into like a game against Rangers, I don't think you can always just pick on form for this game. I think Maeda's got to start because he's proven it against Tavernier. He's proven it, I think, against Barisic or whoever they're going to play in the left in the past as well, that we need him for this kind of game. And he's proven it also in the games that he's not been involved in, that we've missed him by not being there. So I think Maeda's got to start in that game. But to have somebody like Mikey Johnson, whose confidence now will be through the roof after getting those goals, to come in off the bench could be a decent option for us to have. Although I still have to check myself when I say that, because I'm sorry, even though he's got his double today, to say that Mikey Johnson's the good option to come off the bench is something I don't think I should be saying. But I'm not going to be too negative today about him, because let's be honest with you, one of Mikey Johnson's biggest problems is the fact that he's like me, you, and Jerry. He's a fan. He's a fan in the jersey, and every time he goes out there and he plays, he wants to give it his best, and he sometimes tries too hard because he knows that he's in right now. Anyway, he's in that last chance saloon, and he's got to make every appearance count. I'm so happy for him that he's got his 2 goals today, but when it comes to Saturday's game, he's not done it enough. He's not been consistent enough for me to say that his form in general merits starting. But this is where Brendan's man management comes in, and he's got between now and Saturday to just put an arm around him, talk him through the week, talk him up, tell him that he's the player that can come off the bench and win us that game. But I don't think he's there to start it just yet. But, to focus on today, what a brilliant cameo appearance that was off the bench. 2 really good. First one, maybe keeper should have saved, but I know Jerry would have. But the second one was just pure determination to get there. So, we'll fair play.
Really, Jerry, I'm not having a dig. I mean, listen, you made your Celtic debut this season. The jersey's up on the wall. Listen, I think Kev's right. You come up against this team on Saturday, and Maeda's not been brilliant since he's come back from injury. But you need to have that play. Listen, I know what a lot of Celtic fans think about Tavernier, about him as a defender, about his goals record, how he's got those goals, the majority of them coming from the penalty spot, what we think about Rangers and penalties. It's a whole debate in itself. But when you come up against that team, you have got to nullify that threat down the right-hand side. And how do you do that? I think the best way of doing it is by putting Maeda on Tavernier. Now, Mikey Johnson, he's played more games on the left-hand side than he has on the right for Celtic. I think he does look more comfortable and confident coming in on his right-hand side, as Kev McCluskey quite rightly said there. It's not enough to get him a start against Rangers, I would agree. But if you play Maeda left, is Palmer as effective on the right-hand side? So that's another question. So that's another debate that you're going to have. And it's based on today. Palmer, I thought, was brilliant today, Jerry. I thought he was great today. The amount of chances he created, was phenomenal. I think he's starting to develop a bit of an understanding with Greg Taylor overlapping him, and he needs to know when to play Taylor in, when to cut inside himself, and he caused loads of problems. Only thing missing today for me was a goal from Palmer. But looking ahead a wee bit to the Rangers game, because obviously we've got the two wins behind us now. Do you play Palmer on the right, Maid on the left? Jerry Taylor, over to you.
Oh, well, I think we do. We play Palmer Maid at the start. You don't start Mikey Johnson after that. I think we've done that a couple of times. We've brought someone on, they've done well, and we think, right, we'll start them, and it doesn't happen. So kind of slowly ease them back into it again. Like Kev says, he'll be full of confidence now. And do you know, for the first time, this is how it happens. For the first time, we've went, might be a decent option to come off the bench now instead of going, Mikey Johnson's our option. And that's how it happens. Get us a couple of goals, take your opportunity. Mm-hmm. So with him on the bench, definitely. I think with Palmer, if I was being harsh and overly critical today, I agree with you, Paul John. He had a great game. His corners, he had a good amount of corners to put in, and I don't think there was enough. He made the most of them, basically. There wasn't some really bad corners, I'm trying to say. I can't get my words out today. I've got a bad back.
There's a variation in the corners either.
We need to talk about the corners.
So I just think we're never going to get that many corners against the team that we're playing next. So he's got to be more ruthless when it comes to these, or mix it up a bit. And you see towards the end, they even just ended up going with a short corner because they even saw it wasn't working. So if I had to be critical, it would be that. But I think he's been great today, and like you're saying, all he was missing was a goal. But for me, start with the same team, and then unrelease Mikey and see what he can do.
A couple of things to discuss there. First one is the corners. The second one is, let's all for the next 3 days pray that Carter Vickers is fit. Ewan Boy Martin, yeah, big Ewan boy. He's been supporting Acsom for a long time. He continues to do so. A big thank you for that, Ewan. What I saw today was our players fighting for each other and showing real character. This is the thing we were talking about, the passion, the mentality. These things were actually brought up by Brendan Rodgers last week. I can't speak for anyone but myself, and I am right behind Brendan Rodgers, and I do believe we will beat the Orcs and go on to win the title. Hail, hail. There's a few different terms you could have used there, Ewan. I think I quite like the Orcs. And I'm wondering where they are, because they were pretty vocal at half-time on Boxing Day. Are they still lurking about in the comment section? I don't think so. Paul McLean, sometimes you need to claw, bite and fight. Going back to Ewan's point, it could be a pivotal second half in the title race. Might just set a bit of pressure over the Clyde too. Well, you know what? I go into these games. Jerry didn't even know who they were playing tomorrow. And sometimes I'm of the same view. I'm so focused on Celtic. They're up against Ross County. It's at Ibrox. Do you expect nothing? No. If you get something, great. You don't expect anything. But I want to talk about the corners. Jerry, you brought them up. And, I mean, at one point, they were talking about it being the record amount of corners in a Scottish football game this season. When we won our 20th corner, Matt O'Reilly took it. And it was matching the Rangers corner start against St Johnstone earlier in the season. We could go through all the games. There are certain games, like the one on Saturday, you're not going to get 20 corners. But if you go through every game and look at the average amount of corners that we win in a game, and then you look at the amount of goals that we get from the corners. Now, I get that that the stat will tell you that, generally speaking, getting a corner kick doesn't result in a goal. I remember reading it, and it was in a book called The Numbers Game, whereby I think at one point Barcelona realised they're looking at the data. Let's not put the ball in because we're not going to score. So when they get a corner kick, it was almost about getting the ball back into play, creating another chance, taking it back a wee bit and try to create a chance that way. And when I'm looking at that, though, I'm thinking to myself, Kev, go and tell me, please. I know you like your data, you like your stats, right? Go and tell me why you don't buy. Sure. Seriously, why you don't buy? Like, maybe I'm the same as a lot of football fans watching that game today as a fan. 20 corner kicks plus, 20 plus corner kicks. It was the same against St Johnstone. And then if you were to look throughout the whole season, what is our average corner kick tally? I see a corner kick as an opportunity. It's a set piece. It's an opportunity to create a chance. Surely we can find a striker who would be well suited to that level of corner kick win every single game, right? I mean, seriously. even if 3 of them resulted in a chance, Kev, surely we can look for a striker. Because is it not a bit old-fashioned now to expect your 2 centre-halves, because normally they've got a bit of height, Carter Vickers hasn't got any height, to come up? And I thought in the first half, Scales looked a bit dangerous from the corners. Palmer found him a couple of times. He obviously scored against Livingston last week. Can we not get a striker in the mould who would be a danger at corners? Because that's a ridiculous amount of corners to be winning, Kev, and we don't tend to create much from them. Am I old-fashioned? Is there an answer to this question? Can we not buy a striker to header a few of these in?
I'm sure they're out there, and why not? Because I'm thinking as you're going through that, and I'm thinking that we probably need a big 6'5" centre forward then, who's going to get an end of these cross balls and win them. And then as that thought comes in, I think, oh, mind Henrik Larsson was about 5'10" and won every single corner that came in. So I'm sure they're out there. And maybe you dropped it in the chat as well and mentioned them before. Kvistgaarden, maybe that's his strength. I'm sure there are strikers out there who are good at winning corner kicks when they're flighted in. You need to have somebody that's good at delivering them. I think maybe the Scottish League's a bit of an anomaly in that you've come up against teams like Dundee or Motherwell or Livy who pack the whole team with boys that are 6 foot plus and man mountains. Yeah. And it's difficult to pick at your centre forward or your big centre back there. But if you're a team like Celtic, right, you've got class throughout, so you should have at least 1-2 players that can win a header. If that's not working for you, you then vary up the corners. You play it short, you go to the back post, you play it to the edge of the box. You do something.
I think we've lost you, Kev.
Vary it up, but
just getting to
I think I went there for a minute there.
You did.
Just getting to it.
I was really enjoying that.
So I don't know where I was at when I went out there, but I was going to say I think as a team like Celtic, you should have quality around there that you can find someone in the box that can head a ball. Right, it's not a skill you really need to learn. Just jump and put your head in it. So it's about getting someone that can put the delivery in. And if that's not working, then vary it up. And that's what was really annoying me today, was that with the set plays, everything was the same ball coming in. So it was easy to read. But I am one of those guys that think the Barcelona way, or their method of getting around it, works a bit. You keep the ball, you draw their defence out from a corner, and then you look to have somebody that can play the through pass and slide you in. But maybe we don't even have that player actually in the midfield, because we notice that in open play as well, that we become too predictable with how we're playing. So we just need other options. But to get back to your original point, there are strikers out there that can win cross balls, and we should be going to get one of them.
Yeah, because you know what, the data thing, Kev, and I don't think we were late to the party. We used to have a show on a Celtic State of Mind before we started doing the live streams called A Celtic Stat of Mind. That's how I got to know Alan Morrison, who now does the Huddle Breakdown. And stats always intrigued me. But as I say, I read this book and it told me why Barca stopped taking the traditional style corner, where it was get all the big guys into the box, flight it in, see if you can win it. And it's now like kind of like accepted that if you take a corner, it's no dangerous. But I feel as though when Celtic are defending a corner, we're under threat. I actually still feel that. I think that the team we're playing are far more of a threat from their corners, albeit they're a very small percentage of the corners in a game, compared to us taking a corner. And if we're winning that many corners on average, then who is the guy? And you know what? It's a debate to be had, I think. And I'm going to bring it up because there's quite a lot of different opinions on it. I'm going to bring up DB New first. We have won trebles without 6'5" strikers. Yeah, we have. But I just feel that it seems to be a feature of our play at the moment, whereby we're not as free-flowing. Today was a wee bit different, I've got to say. We created a lot of chances today. But over the season, we've not been doing that as often. And, we come up against this issue where it's just like they can defend us and defend us. And sometimes you say, all we need is a turnbull to score from 25 yards. We also need that option whereby we can flight a corner and be a danger. And I'm going to bring up some of the points here. Smell the Glove agrees with me. It's great to find somebody, Smell the Glove, who actually agrees with me from time to time. And we've also got this. Who remembers the big man, Jan Vennegoor of Hesselink?
Oh, I love Big Jan, honestly.
Big Jan Vennegoor of Hesselink. Yeah.
his 94th minute winner against them in the 3-2 game in the Tommy Bonner
Brilliant.
season that won us the league.
Yeah. Aye.
Jumping ahead.
The goal against Dundee United at Tannadice. Exactly.
Aye.
So I'm not saying change your style of play. I'm not saying go long. None of that. But it looks as though we've got a team that wins a hell of a lot of corners, but we're no great from them. And I think Henrik McLarsson brings up a good point. Should be doing better in this position. Yeah, he probably should. He probably should. And, he's that type of player where you every time he comes on, you think, he gives you a different kind of approach, Jerry. He's a different style of player. He's combative, etc., etc. But I'm not seeing it in this position, from the corner. The other one, of course, Lanky brings up is we had Giakoumakis, but we let him go. Giakoumakis was brilliant in these positions. Yeah.
Go and try and buy him back. I wouldn't even listen. Let's drop everything, the Instagram posts and all that. He obviously didn't go in with Postecoglou. See if they told me they were going back into him and they were going to pay double what we paid him last time, I wouldn't even flinch. Get him back. I'd love him back. Come back.
Probably not.
No.
He's probably at about 5 times his wages over there. But that is the point. It's just when you're looking at this team and you're going 20 odd corners in a game, that is frightening in terms of the offensive play, but we're not doing a great deal from them. That's my only complaint today. Mikey Johnston, we've been through a real journey with Mikey. Last chance saloon, says Kevin McCluskey. I think he's been in there 4 times, keeps coming back. Last chance saloon. But what comes of this, who knows? I don't know if it's going to result in his Celtic career being resurrected. I've said this time and time again. This is the 8th season that he's been a senior pro at Celtic. The 8th season. He made his debut 7 seasons ago. Obviously, one of them has been spent on loan in Portugal. I want to also talk about this, which could be a dilemma. Big Carter Vickers goes down, and it's the worst sight in the world, isn't it? When the big man goes down, you just think, no again. The Kurgan raises it. We won't know probably for a couple of days, probably until the pre-match press conference, whether or not Carter Vickers is fit. And even if he is, Brendan Rodgers probably shouldn't tell anybody. Keep that one up his sleeve. And where are we with the pecking order, Kev? What is the pecking order at the moment? Clearly, it's Scales and Carter Vickers. But if Carter Vickers is out, it's Scales and Welsh. How does it go after that? It's not as easy to determine, is it? Is it Phillips, Nawrocki? Is it Phillips, Lagerbielke, Nawrocki? What is it?
Right. So it's Carter Vickers and Scales, definitely your first 2. Welsh now seems to have moved up the pecking order, so he's taking a 3rd choice. Beyond that, well, we all thought that there was some clause in Phillips' contract that he had to be in the matchday squad.
For Champions League games.
Well, for every game, by the looks of it. But unless he's injured, then that clause was a load of nonsense because he wasn't there today. So who knows? Nawrocki seems to be at the bottom of the list because he doesn't get in anywhere. So probably, I mean, you'd like to think it's Lagerbielke, his 4th choice. He's a player. He scored against Feyenoord. Again, you'd think that would have given him some confidence, but then he's been out the team since then. And he's looked decent when he's played. Not great, but he's only a young boy. There's a player in there. So probably him 4th choice. Phillips and Nawrocki seems to be a toss-up as to who's 5th and 6th.
So where's Kobayashi then?
Maybe he's going to bring... I was actually just going to mention him. Maybe he's going to...
He's not even on your list.
All and put Kobayashi in.
Oh, don't. I mean, you look at that Feyenoord game.
Kwon will be the man. Kwon will be the man at centre-back. I think Jerry wants him to be player of the season anyway, so...
Can you imagine?
No, I can't.
Half a season left, mate.
Let's not imagine that.
I can't imagine it. I really can't. But what I think he'll be doing, Brendan Rodgers, if indeed it gets to the point where Carter Vickers doesn't make it, he'll be looking at that Feyenoord game and he'll be saying, you know what, Scales and Welsh as a partnership done really well that night. And he'll probably even extend his thinking beyond that and think back to the Rangers game at Ibrox and the partnership with Scales and Lagerbielke, remember? And other than maybe the first 3 minutes of that game, they had a pretty solid partnership that day as well, Jerry. They had to defend a fair bit, and I thought they'd done well. They came through it. Since then, however, Lagerbielke's fallen off the radar. He's out of favour. We hear rumours, etc., about whether or not the gaffer trusts him or rates him, thinks he's fast enough. But if you go into that Rangers game and the big man, Carter Vickers, and I say the big man not because of his height, just the stature of him, the fact that his importance to the Celtic side, who do you play? Is it Scales and Welsh you go into that game with?
Yeah, for me, definitely. Scales and Welsh. Scales of form in Welsh, because he has showed at times that he can really step up in the big games. And do you know something? He's always got a cheeky wee goal in him, I think, Welsh. There was a few, was it last season? Season 4,
first goal of the season against Aberdeen. Yeah.
So when you're talking about getting corners in there, he looks like somebody that he's got a good leap on him. He knows what this game's all about as well. I'm surprised at the Lagerbielke, especially him getting the goal. And like Kev, like you say, I think he's always like decent, good. But I think what game was it he made that mistake in? I think, was it against Rangers?
In the first minute.
Pass.
Yeah.
And
he was robbed. He was robbed, but VAR obviously
called
foul.
I can't really think of too many mistakes in like international level, scoring the Champions League. So that's a weird one for me that he's not going with the momentum and putting him on after. But hey, it's the centre back joy that we've had all season, so we can do this. Players have stepped in and they've helped out. So, but I think Welsh, I like him. I really do like him. So Welsh and Scales for me, mate.
Yeah, Welsh and Scales, both of them were on my list of 10 players we should sell. Mikey Johnson came on and he was on that list as well. Can I just say, by the way, Jerry, I'm a great judge of a player. That's a cracking tracksuit top you've got on there. And the reason I'm bringing it up is that is official Acsom merchandise. And in 2024, it's going to be a big thing for us on the old website. Obviously, we do the vast majority of things absolutely free, which is the way it should be with the old content, etc. But we do have a shop which has been ticking along over the last wee while. And it's going to be taken over by someone else who's going to be running it for me after we put the designs in, etc. So, yeah, we're going to be pushing some vintage merch. It's not going to be your usual stuff. We don't use anybody else's designs. It's all our own doing. So, yeah, get that checked out, Acsom.net. There's a blog on there as well that we're working on. DB New, I'm going to bring you back up. Not vintage, but we were never going to lose a goal to that side. Fair enough after the game, Kev, but see, it 1-0. I'm watching that intently and I'm just thinking, seriously, with the amount of possession and the pressure we were putting on them, Kev, I never feel that confident at 1-0.
No, it's a great comment, that one. Like, Dundee were never going to score. Absolutely not. Right? They never looked like scoring for a second. However, you were never confident. It's the old Jim Orwin, you're never confident until we're 3-0 up. And even then, because we've seen it so many times this season, that it's one long ball over the top, tons of defence, their one striker gets in and scores, and you're back to square one again. Second goal today was massive, absolutely massive, because that just killed it all off. But listen, before the game, we spoke about it. We wanted a clean sheet. We wanted 3 points. We wanted a dominant performance, and we wanted to build momentum going into the game at the weekend. We've got everything out of that game that we wanted. I'm sure there'll be people in the comments and in the pubs and whatever that'll find things to complain about other than just our corners about that performance today. But on the whole, we've got everything we wanted from it. Looking at it with clearer eyes now or whatever, without the emotion of being in the moment, Dundee never threatened us at all. That's how it should be for us going up there. The greatest of respect to Dundee. It was a really controlled, dominating performance, and it gives an old man like me a wee bit of confidence going into the weekend that I didn't really have prior to the game because of how the last few games have gone. So, I've got the Christmas cheer in me big time now.
Brilliant. I love it.
Yes.
Now, Henrik points out again, height isn't the only factor in getting on the end of corners. I totally get it. Absolutely. I do think we need that physicality that I expected to come from O. And I'm going to bring this up as well because we said actually after the half-time show that we should have mentioned it, Ian. Ian McMonigal says we should have had at least 2 penalties from the corners today with Carter Vickers being pulled and held. They would have had VAR penalties today. This is a frustration, Jerry, right? Because I actually felt in the first half it was worse. And we didn't mention it at half-time. Probably, you know, because you don't want to just be clutching at straws at half time. Say, oh, we should have had a penalty because it was nothing each. We've won the game comfortably at 3-0. You've got to mention this. Carter Vickers, that was a penalty all day long. And now it was brought up by the commentary team. There was replays, obviously, for anybody watching at home. And it doesn't go to VAR. They don't bother looking at it. And this is the thing that becomes a frustration for me. We're going into this game at the weekend, right? And we talk about margins all the time. We constantly go on about margins, right? The margin could be a decision. If that was happening on Saturday, Jerry, right, we would all be absolutely fuming if it ends up nothing each, or, you know, God forbid they win the game. And you're looking at a situation like that saying, why didn't go to VAR? He's been manhandled in the box. It's a penalty kick. And this is the thing that really frustrates us. And we all know tomorrow they're going for 74. They love going for a number. They're going for 74. Games, league games, without conceding a penalty. And you go into this game against Rangers. It's not an anomaly. An anomaly is if somebody's looking at your productivity over a period of 365 days and they notice that it drops on a day and you say, oh, I was off sick that day. That's an anomaly. You've noticed that one drop. That's an anomaly. This is a trend. After 73 games, never having conceded a penalty kick. It's ridiculous. So going into the game against Rangers, these things are massive, massive discussion and points that we've got to bring up, because if you talk about it now, it's not as if we're clutching at straws after the game against Rangers. It's going to be a massive shout and a massive decision, Jerry. But my question for you is, I'm just going to put you right in the spot. Will Celtic get a penalty against Rangers?
Aye, and then we'll miss it, because that's what's been happening this season, isn't it? So no, I don't want us to be the first to get a penalty. I want it to be, who are they playing tomorrow?
Ross County.
Oh, that's right, aye. See, instantly out of my head already. So I hope Ross County get it tomorrow, and I hope they score it, and then we'll probably get one. And then, I'll never doubt the team. Palmer's doing better with the penalties now, but the way the things have been going. But that amount of games to not concede a penalty, come on. It's brutal. They make a documentary about that.
It is a trend. It's not an anomaly.
Panorama in amongst it. Who is it? Watchdog. At what
point do people from outside the Scottish football bubble start looking at it, Kevin, and think, that's not right? What's going on there? I mean, obviously, your man Gallagher, every time he gets asked, the retired ref, every time he gets asked, he's puzzled by it, isn't he? And the latest one, of course, was against Motherwell. All you need to do is look at Lil Z or some of these guys, Tam Selleck or whatever, on the old Twitter, and they'll always pinpoint all these different decisions that have gone for them. And it's an unbelievable stat. It really is, Kev. And going into the game against Rangers on the 30th, it's in the forefront of my mind, because these games, it's margins, tiny margins.
Yeah. It is, and it has to be, because we've seen it ourselves, right? The game last January would have been, or this January, 2nd of January. What's his name? Goldson handballs it about 3 times. There's at least 2 or 3 penalties in that game that we don't get. Now, that was them with Michael Beale when the new manager bounced from that, and he'd gone 10 games or something without losing a match, or 10 games that he'd won in a row, something like that. And we were the first team to stop them from winning a game under him. But we don't get penalties at 1-1, we don't get them at 2-1, we don't get it at 2-2. Every single one of those decisions has a major impact in the game, or could have a major impact in the game. And we've seen it time and time again in these matches, you know. So I think if there's a 50-50 or a 60-40 penalty decision in our favour, we're not getting it at the weekend. You know, it's got to be an absolute blatant stonewaller before we'll get it. And, you know, folks will maybe think that's like a paranoid mindset or whatever, but maybe going into this game, it doesn't do us any harm to have that mindset that we can't rely on the referees to win us or to help us win the game. We've got to do it all by ourselves. I'll go back to then, we've got the 60,000 Celtic fans. It's all Celtic fans in that stadium at the weekend. You've got to go back to Angie's first Glasgow derby at Celtic Park with the same environment and just make it hell for them, you know. And now that we've got the Green Brigade back in as well, they'll create a huge atmosphere. It'll be amazing. And as long as they get behind the team from minute 1 to minute 90 or 99 or 100 or however long we end up playing, I think we'll win. I think we'll win. And we'll not need the referee's help because we're not going to get it anyway.
No.
All right, so we'll make a prediction based on what you guys have said, right? Ross County will get the penalty tomorrow. They'll steal a wee draw, and then we'll go and win the game on our own merits against them on the 30th. That's fair enough. I'll take that, Jerry.
Absolutely.
One last thing. Whose news comes in? Brings up Bernardo. He was wanted by AC Milan. The reason I'm bringing this up is fair play to Bernardo today, because Kev, you and I said we're not quite sure what his role is. I've said in the past, cut his loan deal short, Abelgard him, all this kind of stuff. And he goes out there and scores the opening goal. And he had a decent enough game today, didn't he?
He did. And I'm going to thank you for sparing my blushes. And I'm going to just put them on myself for this one now. I'd text you during the first half. I'd sub him off at half time. So there you go. So thank you for that one. But he's definitely, there's a player in there and he'll find a team that he'll thrive in. I just don't know if it's us in Scotland. Us in Europe and us, hopefully, in the Glasgow derbies could be his kind of games. But there were a few too many times today, again, when he gets the ball and he's got a chance to shoot or drive forward and he's turned and played a sideways pass or a backwards pass. And you just think, just have a go, man. Just take it on, have a go. And then, you know, how did you describe his goal earlier on, Jerry?
You said,
whatever it
no,
was.
You said it was orgasmic.
That's how I used that. That's how I felt when the ball went in, anyway. But then he does that for us. So he's maybe not passing the ball forward, but his off the ball movement as he's driving forward, he got into that space. It's a good goal. It was a Stan Petrov type of goal for midfield. That one, you know, when he just gets in beyond the defender. So if AC Milan want him, put in a big performance on Saturday, lad, against Rangers and prove that you're worthy of their interest. Win us that game.
Win us that game indeed. Yeah, absolutely. And we won the game today. 3-0 against Dundee up at Dens Park. A perfect start for a perfect dress rehearsal, really, for our game against Rangers, who will be playing tomorrow. Thanks, everybody, for getting involved. Thank you to you and boy Martin once again for supporting the channel. And thank you to Jerry and Kev. Join us again tomorrow at 12:30 for a Celtic State of Mind.